Time for a reality check. Is our RV travel over before it really begins? Let me back up. Dave, the dogs, and I load up our RV and get ready to head out west. Our first stop is in Arkansas, where I get to spend some precious time with my dad. Then we head out across the state of Texas to venture to our favorite locations and new spots out west. When you hit Texas, things change a little bit, from how the terrain looks to the locations to even the shopping, where sarcasm is served all day. There's also realistic advice on our children listening to us, as well as deep thoughts about chickens and their motivation of crossing the road. And of course, my favorite is, and I agree with, patience is a waste of time. While in Texas, we didn't see any rattlesnakes. That was actually later in our travels. However, we did have a snake surface of another kind. Our story starts in Brownfield, Texas, at our first Harvest Host stopover, Oswald Vineyards, where you'll learn about the chemistry behind their great wine.
There's real chemistry actually going on in the barrel, because the tannins, they're the things that give the astringency in the wines. Here in West Texas, this Albarino, it will grow all the way. It will just go to maturity. So we went to 24.5%. And so it's completely different. It's like I told y'all, it's a vine-ripe tomato, grapes. Mm-hmm. You know, that Walmart one that kind of looks orange versus that one on the vine that's sitting there that's packed full of flavor. And so the same thing, the longer you let it hang, the more flavor it will get.
Okay, so here we are just leaving our first Harvest Host stop of our trip, and it was a little cool last night.
Well, first, it was cool. It was very
Cold.
cool staying at Oswald because the wine is great, the company fabulous, and that's our third time to stay there. So highly recommend it, but it was fraught with issues.
Well,
Issues.
we're still working.
Yeah.
Let's just say the wine was good. Had fun time with the wine tasting, and then all of a sudden we get to the camper and we have no heat. And so it's one of those things where, you know, we've done our homework. We know a little bit of where do you start with figuring this out. And we tried every trick we knew in the book and still could not get it to work. Since we weren't hooked up to electrical, we were relying on the propane to heat our Aldi system. Well, it would kick in for a little bit and then it would just stop. And so we're still trying to figure it out. We don't know if maybe there's a fuse issue. We're going to check into that. We reset things several times over, disconnected the battery and reset that. Now we're going to have to dig in under the bed where it's located and try a couple other tricks we have up our sleeve. But anyway, luckily we had extra blankets and all was good. We didn't freeze to death by any means. But
no shower this morning.
No shower, no hot water, no nothing other than we survived. And
what's interesting is the propane still worked. So we had stovetop heat. Not to heat the camper, you never do that, but we had that so I could heat up some water to wash my face with. Our refrigerator is a 3-way refrigerator, and that's still working. And so all the things that we did the check on included, what were the things you checked?
First of all, we lowered the back end of our trailer all the way to this, so we raised up as high as we could to lower the back end. Then you lower it all the way in the front end. That is to try to get out any air bubbles that might be in the glycol. We tried that. That did not work. We also tried switching out propane tanks, tried a different tank. That didn't work. And sometimes if you turn the tank on too fast, it can create an issue. So we, turned it on very slowly to allow the propane to, adjust gradually. That didn't work. The other tricks that we've tried, other than just
we haven't
rebooting,
done the fuse yet.
We got to dig in and look and see if maybe there's an issue with the fuse. We did discover that our glycol is a little bit low. Don't think that's the problem, but
we're going to go get some glycol.
We got that ordered, and we're swinging through Albuquerque. A little off the beaten path for us, but not too bad, and we'll pick up some and top that off and make sure that's not causing any issues. We'll keep you posted. This has definitely been a curveball, but this is part of when you travel like this happens. You have to be self-sufficient, learn how to fix things on your own, and we're getting some practice right now, and it's
not the practice we wanted.
But
we're practicing.
You just, if it gets really cold outside, I'm talking well below freezing, you'd certainly want to have that heating system if you're boondocking working. And so learning how to troubleshoot and fix these things are all part of it. Hopefully it's not a part that has to be replaced, and has to order it and wait for it to get in and all that stuff. Because if that's the case, that's going to put a real cramp in our boondocking. We can certainly hook up the electrical, no problem. System seems to do that. That'll work just fine because we have a heat pump system as well on this Tab 400. So we're going to have heat if we have electricity, but kind of changes our game plan just a little bit. The good news is we have a call into New Camp, and they actually will call you back, unlike some customer services. You just never get an answer back, or it's a week later. They'll call us back sometime today. They'll give us some guidance on where to go next with this. And we also noticed that our glycol level was a little bit low, and so we've ordered some. We called a place in Albuquerque, New Mexico to
Aloha RV.
Aloha RV in Albuquerque.
Very responsive too.
Yeah, and they said they had exactly what we needed, and so we're going to swing through there, pick up some glycol to top it off and see what happens. So
Gina is actually on the video this morning. So we're here at Aloha RV. We drove into Albuquerque last night due to the issues that we were having with the heating system. And it turns out that they were, able to squeeze us in this morning, which the guys here at Aloha RV are fantastic. Highly recommend them if you're on the road and you need to stop through. So we went to the campground last night. We noticed that the glycol level had shown below minimum, so we bought some glycol while we were here too. As soon as we attached to electrical and we got the heating system going, the glycol level went from well below minimum to back to the normal range. And the fan was working. You could see the movement of the glycol. And so we let that run, let the camper heat up, we had the water heat up, and everything was working fine. So we flipped it over to propane, and lo and behold, it worked. And so we actually ran off of propane last night at the campground while we had electricity as a backup, just to see if it worked. So we may have solved the problem. It could have been a major air bubble, but we also know that RVs don't repair themselves. So we're gonna walk through everything with the guys here at Aloha RV this morning and see if there's something else that needs to be checked or inspected. Let's see what they say inside. So we were just in Aloha RV, and it turns out they believe it is a gas bubble issue.
Air bubble.
Gas bubble. Gas bubble. Anyway, so we are now gonna head on our trip. We're gonna go to Bosque del Apache for a few days, and actually their suggestion was to run it just to test the system for a couple of days. Bosque is just a couple hours down the road, so it's perfect timing for doing that, and then we're gonna be heading further west. So let's keep rolling. What do you think?
Roll on.
Gas bubble. Well, Dave got his senior national park pass today. Didn't you, hon?
Yes, I did.
With our new passes, it's game on for hiking and birding. And with the heat and hiking, it calls for some refreshments for our pups and us at one of our favorite restaurants when we travel, the Owl in San Antonio, New Mexico. The beer is cold and the burgers are fantastic. Green chili cheeseburger, there's not anything quite like it. They boast being the best green chili cheeseburger in the world, and I'm kind of thinking they pretty much have it. Eating a green chili cheeseburger may not be pretty, but it definitely gets a big thumbs up for me. Caution, napkins are needed. Our second night of testing the propane worked great, so we think that problem is resolved. One constant of our travels is every once in a while, somebody, this is Gina, likes to do a photo bomb or a video bomb. You're a video bomber. We are on the road again. We just left the campground, Bosque Birders RV Park. It was our second time to stay there. We stayed there a couple of years ago. It is a no-frills RV park, but it has everything you need and quick accessibility to the national wetlands.
Well, let's say everything we need.
Everything we need.
Because when you say no frills, I mean, there's no Wi-Fi, there's a bathroom and all that. We didn't need that, but it's not a luxury camping spot. I mean, in the sense that you got everything that a typical like KOA campground would have. So
correct.
Pretty much, I mean, they had full hookups, and that's pretty much what you can count on.
Yep. And the owner's really nice. He comes in and does a quick check on you to make sure you're all set up and if you need anything. And then, so we explored the park. I had a nice sunrise yesterday morning, but the winds were horrendous yesterday. We had over 30-mile-an-hour winds, and when you're in the west, in the dry terrain, that also means a lot of dust. So we really laid low, took it easy. Here's Gina laying low, but also very alert to those strong winds outside. I don't think she likes it very much. It definitely keeps her attention. Listening to those winds is hard work, so it's time for me to go to bed. Had a nice dinner in the camper last night and decided, you know, we've been here before. The ducks came in yesterday. There were a lot of cinnamon teal, shovelers. But we thought, you know, let's go do some exploring of some areas we haven't been to. So next up, we are headed to Bandera, New Mexico. Now, why Bandera? So some friends of ours were just there, and they went to an ice cave. Now, in Michigan, we have ice caves, but this is not the same type of ice cave. This is an underground ice cave. So we're really curious to check it out and see what it looks like. It sounds kind of fun. And I think there's some hiking in the area, too. And then we're going to start venturing our way over to Arizona. So I don't know if we're going to stay the night in New Mexico tonight or if we're going to move on to Arizona. All right, so we're on our way to the ice cave. So here is the good news and bad news of winging it. I'm looking forward to it. It should be very cool, pardon the pun. At the same time, the road is quite rough to get here, and we're pulling our RV with us. They do have RV parking in the parking lot where I guess you can camp overnight. But the temperature, it dropped from the high 50s to 42. And if it's going to get in the teens, it's probably a little too cold for us to stay tonight without worried about stuff freezing. So we're probably going to do the ice caves, take the dogs for the hike up into the volcano, hopefully, and then we'll be heading back down to where it's a little bit warmer tonight. Looks like there's pretty easy parking. There's where we're going to park our RV. We're going to need to back in over there. So we're going to need to take the sway bar off so I can park the RV. That'll work.
All right.
Okay, sweet. So to park here, you also need to be able to back in to do RV parking even for the day, which is A-okay since we're comfortable with it. If you need to know how to park your RV, I actually have a video about how to back up and driving with a travel trailer, so you can click on that link. This is volcanic rock. We're on our way to the actual ice cave. We are in the ice cave, and you'll notice that the ice is green. That's due to algae. And if you look closely, you'll see ice balls, very similar to what we have in Michigan. Well, the good news is our propane is working. We are out adventuring, and our next stop is going to be Arizona.